Guys, we have a little problem here. We're trying to work things out.
I don't see it yet.
Got one person on there. Takes a while. Guys, we'll be on there in just a second.
Okay, there we go.
Is it right or right now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect, perfect, perfecto. All right, so I knew it'd take a while, but we got it right. Okay, guys, let's start this again.
That was challenging.
Yeah, 2.0, right?
Wow.
The second time around. It is a beautiful day today, and I'm here in Elkridge, Maryland at Zippers Performance with Adam. Adam is the senior developer for Redshift cams, and today we're going to be talking about Harley-Davidson Performance and what's Harley-Davidson Performance without cams, right? Upgraded cams. And when you have someone who designs cams, then they can give us a little insight of what it takes to make a little bit more power and what does it mean by a torque cam, a horsepower cam, and just these numbers in general. But before we get into this, oh, by the way, sorry, Adam, I didn't mean to just jump in here.
No, you're good.
So you want to say hello to the people?
Hello, everyone.
Yes, and before we get into this, we're going to be talking about at 7 o'clock, which right now is about 25 minutes away, the tickets for Traveling Tall's Run to the Hills 5. Now, if you haven't been to Traveling Tall's Run to the Hills 5 before, you definitely need to show up and ride. The riding is free, but the tickets to the banquet on Friday night will be released at glidekings.com at 7 p.m. Eastern today. That's 7 p.m. Eastern at GlideKings, GLIDEKINGS.com at 7 p.m. Eastern. You better, if you want to get you a ticket, if you want to get you a ticket, you better make sure that you set your alarm or something like that, because last time, I'm not saying who knows, but last time they sold out pretty quickly, and a lot of people were kind of upset. So this year there's a little bit more seating, but hopefully that everybody that wants a ticket is able to get one, and I'm happy to announce that they will be ready tonight at 7 p.m. at glidekings.com. So with that being said, I'm going to get off way before then, but with that being said, let's talk about cams. Now I have Adam here, again, the engineer of Redshift Cams. So Adam, all these cams on the table, you designed most of them, right?
Oh, all of them. Yeah.
All of them. So what do we have? We have a 532. That's what does that go in?
So yeah, the 532 is the new CBO 121 ST cam. It actually works really well in a lot of different Milwaukee 8 packages, but it was developed for, when the 117 came out, it's like 10.4 to 1 compression. And when the CVO came out, the 121, it's got, I think, 11.4 to 1 compression. It is substantial. So that extra point of compression really made a big difference.
Okay.
So the 532 was the cam that came after the 528.
So if you have a 121, and you're not talking about DVT, you're talking about completely ST.
Non-DVT.
Non-DVT.
Yeah. 121,
this 532 is the one for you.
Correct. And actually, there's a lot of people out there now that are removing the VVT systems from the current CVOs. It's pretty actually easy to do with just a couple of parts, and you can run any of the standard stuff in it. Okay. There's benefits to that and disadvantages to that as well. Don't really want to get into it, but if you're looking for power and there aren't parts available for VVT because the cam blank is different, the tuning is very different, these parts are all available now.
So I didn't know that. So you can remove the VVT and then just run a standard cam in it. Okay.
That is correct.
Cool. Now what do we have next here? You want to hold this just a second?
Yeah, sure. So next is the 528.
Oh yeah.
And this is the cam that was developed for the 117, for the Gen 2s.
Yeah.
It's our earliest torque cam that we've ever made. but it's made with a lot of lift and duration so that it actually makes big power at the top as well.
Now we're gonna get into an explanation of lift and duration if we have time. Again, guys, just not trying to interrupt. GlideKings.com at 7 p.m. Eastern if you want Traveling Talls Run to the Hills 5 banquet tickets. Don't forget. All right, so now this one right here, you said 528.
Right.
This is the one that was in the shop bike that I did a video on.
Right.
Where we went to the track, we went to the drag track, and Kyle actually was at the drag track, and a Harley-Davidson, according to statistics where everybody's saying, Harley-Davidson makes, at the drag track, ran a quarter-mile time at 12.7. Well, you know they always show their best quarter-mile time. Most people, average riders, are going to get there in about 13 something. Well, with the bolt-in 528 cam, I can't tell them the horsepower because they need to watch the video to see the horsepower.
Right.
With the bolt-in 528 cam, he went down to, sorry about that. He went all the way down and got under 12 seconds. He was at like 11.6 something on that. That is amazing power. That is like dropping a big bore kit in. That's why I call this the big bore kit in a little box. I mean, it was really good power gains. It just has so much torque down low. It makes power everywhere you need it for the rider who wants to really ride a motorcycle and experience. You might want to play around at the red light or whatever, or just get out there and kind of do a little roll racing with your buddy. This 528 cam is a good one for you for the new Gen 2 Milwaukee 8s. But don't these go in the Generation 1 Milwaukee 8s too?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can put those in a Gen 1. You just have to upgrade the springs. That's what I was going to say earlier is, all of these cams, so this was developed as a very specific bolt-in. It works really well in other engines, So we have a local guy who has I think it's a Gen 1 117 sport kit of ours, and we upgraded him to the 528, and he loves it. Wow. It's just a very broad power cam. So any of these, just because it's designed for one thing, it doesn't mean it wouldn't work in another application if it's all engineered together correctly. So
I'm gonna go to the next one right here. The 472, I ran this one.
Yeah.
This 472 was in my
that was your very first
sleeper
cam.
kit.
That was your very first build that we did for you was 472.
So this cam right here, I'll tell you what, that 124 sleeper kit that I had, the very first one made 130 horsepower, 150 foot-pounds of torque, and I rode that bike cross country. I rode that bike everywhere, so that was a really good. Now, would you put a 472 in a non-big bore kit, but would you put it in a regular 117?
Certainly, yeah. A lot of people put them in 114s or 117 Gen 1s. So, what we always are trying to do is make something that's more torque-based, something that's more balanced, or even up to a horsepower, style cam. But the cam has to really work with everything that's around it. Is really what it boils down to. So yeah, we've run 472s in stock bikes, and we've run them in other kits as well.
And this one's famous right here.
Yeah, the 468.
The 468. This cam right here. I know more people that took their 107s and 114 Gen 2s, and I don't know. Not Gen 2, Generation 1 M8s. Mm-hmm. This cam changed it all right here. The 468 Redshift cam, and a lot of torque in this cam.
Oh yeah, that cam was intended for torque. One of the things I think that sets us apart, and it's really just in how we operate. We do very, very extensive engine modeling, probably more than anyone else. So that means I sit behind a wall of screens, basically playing on computers, trying to figure out what works. And we do some pretty advanced engine modeling. And from that, we're able to come up with very accurate predictions. So, we're at the point where we can predict, all of these cams on the table. It's kind of interesting. They're all revision 1 because the modeling was so good that when we actually made the part and put it in, there was really no more, there was nothing left to change unless you wanted to go to something completely different. So there's a lot of cams out there, but we certainly put a lot of effort into designing these. It's never about just throwing a cam out.
So I'm going to ask the questions that people ask me. So I'm just going to ask these questions first off. Again, I want to remind you, glidkings.com, 7 p.m. for the Travel Tall Run to the Hills banquet tickets. Now, by the way, Adam will be there.
Oh yeah.
And at the banquet, I'm going to try to get him and Dan both to speak at the banquet and some other folks. So make sure you guys show up. Of course, we're going to have some things going on that we always have goodie bags that we give away and stuff like that. So it's going to be an awesome time. Guys, again, I hope to see everybody there. I can't wait. If you can't make it to the banquet, come out to ride. Riding is always free.
And you know, I want to point out too, there were a lot of other YouTubers there as well.
Mhm.
There was a lot of other people there. They're all shorter than you, but that's okay. But no, there was a lot of people there, so it really was a good time. It was a very good community of riders.
Thank you,
at the event.
I appreciate that. I really like, when people come to Run to the Hills and there's people that, we're supposed to be talking about camps, so I'll get back on that, but people that come to Run to the Hills and make friends. I love hearing somebody said, well, I was worried about showing up by myself because I didn't know anybody there. If that's you, definitely show up, because you will not be by yourself by the time you get there. You will always, it's a friendly environment. People make friends all the time. And by the way, I need to make the announcement. I'm going to be having ambassadors, people that are stationed all across the country that's willing to take the lead and meeting people and saying, okay, we're leaving from ABC gas station at 5 o'clock. If you want to ride in with me, ride in with me. So I'll be doing stuff like that too. And if you're interested in being an ambassador for your region or your state, comment below. Let me know you're interested. And I've already talked to a couple of people, so just comment below and let me know you're interested. And we'll talk and get that straightened out so you can have a good time riding in with people to Traveling Talls Run to the Hills 5. It's going to be a great time. Let's get back to the camp. So I'm going to ask some of these questions here that people used to ask me, or I used to ask a while back.
Or are there any questions in the comments too that we can answer as well?
Oh yeah, you will find multiple friends. That's what a couple of people are saying.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, we got 41 people in the comments right now. Let's talk about this cam here. So, Adam, first of all, why are they shaped the way they're shaped? I'm sorry guys, I just got to ask the question.
So
I know the answer, but
so a cam is very basic. It's a mechanical object that is spinning around, right? It's driven by a chain, and all it's doing is it's creating an eccentric. So that eccentric is what opens the valve and then closes the valve. It's a very simple part in general. It's a little block of 8620 steel. But I always call this the brains of the engine.
Yeah.
It really does define how the torque and the horsepower comes on. Now, exhaust, cylinder heads, all those things can make it or break it as well. But I've always felt that even when you have all that stuff right, it's the cam that's really the brains. And this is what is dictating all of the timing, when it's opening, when it's closing.
And that's by these little lobes. And lobes are
lobes, yeah.
These little lobes right here. That's what he's talking about. You see how this is when it's rotating. Does it rotate this way, Adam? Basically,
it goes clockwise.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's rotating, and what it is, you can see what's riding on this. Explain it to him a little bit more. What I'm trying to say.
The lifter has a roller which sits and rides on this on the cam lobe. And then as the cam turns, it pushes the lifter up, which pushes the push rod up, which then pushes on the rocker arm and pushes the valve open.
So with the degrees of the lobes, like he was talking about, like the way this is designed, you can see like when it rolls over the top, it's pushing it up, and the peak of it is when it's going to be completely open.
Right.
And then when it's coming down, it's closing, and then it's coming back up. The peak of it's going to be completely open again. Now, all these lobes on here they're not all different sizes. The two in the middle
they're all different. They are all
even
different.
all four of them are all different.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now
and I'd like to tell you why. I'll
Okay.
explain it real quick. If you go back to the earlier Harleys, you would find the lobes probably are going to be the same on the base circle size.
Mhm.
And the reason is when you look at a twin cam, it has equal intake and equal exhaust pushrod lengths. Well, an M8 does as well, but the pushrod angles are very different than a twin cam. Twin cams are spaced out, so it's much more straighter of an angle. So what Harley did, and it's very, very smart, they made the lobes very different sizes so that the push rods could remain the same length.
Hmm.
If you go back to the Evo days, all 4 push rods were a different length and the cam lobes were all the same. So you could easily put the wrong push rods in, there was places for error. So
the duration is going to be the same on the two intake.
the intakes are the same.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, they do the same thing. They are generating the same lift, they're generating the same timed events. It's just they're physically different shapes. Those are actually very, very complex shapes that we design. These are 5th order polynomials. This is calculus. This is, this is the
Horsepower
nerd. This is the
science.
nerdville, basically. This is the difference between, having an engineer make the cams or not. It's very, very complicated to get this to make the power and be quiet and be gentle with the valve train.
This designates the mannerism, I guess I'm saying that right, of the motorcycle. Like the way, like you said, this is the brains. If you have a cam, some people say this is a horsepower cam, this is a torque cam. He never says that. This is a horsepower cam, this is a torque cam. Well, you don't say it a lot.
It's based on the application, you can set this up in an engine and make it a horsepower cam, and you can set it up in a different engine and make it a cam.
Now, what is the shelf life? Not shelf life, I'm sorry, the engine life of this. Like, will this cam be good for 50,000 miles? Is that a thing, or do you need to change the cam out?
So the one thing that a lot of people don't do, Harley used to always say, change your lifters out every 20,000 miles. I don't know if that's still the suggestion or not, but it should be. If you maintain good oiling and you have good lifters, we've had shovelhead cams sent back to us with 120, 130,000 miles on them. So all of these are applicable for well over 100,000 miles or more. There's no reason why I wouldn't hit 200,000 or 300,000 miles.
Well, a hurt cam, the main thing how you can hurt a cam is the lifters kind of, I'm putting it in my words, kind of freezing up and or dragging and kind of frosting the top of the cam.
Correct. Usually the roller has an issue and then it starts to transfer onto the lobe.
Now, speaking of lifters now, you want to tell them what Zippers is doing now?
Yeah, certainly. We have our own lifters that we're selling. It's a very special lifter. I don't want to go too deep into it, but the valving is very special. It's different from all of the other Harley lifters on the market currently. And the valving is set more for a performance application like this. Okay. I'll be very generalistic and say a lot of your lifters out there are basically like a LS lifter, like a GM, LS lifter. But there's a lot of different ones. So ours are definitely on the performance side of it in terms of the hydraulics and how they operate.
Right.
So
yeah, and there's a lot of things when you're building a motorcycle, like for instance the cam, but there's things like they're talking about the lifters and the cam chain tensioners. Zippers actually has a kit for that. There's small, Zippers Performance is just not known for big bore kit. Well, they are, but big bore kits and redshift cams. People usually think of Zippers Performance, that's all they do, but no, they have I can't even think of what I'm trying to say, axle lock on the back of the thing.
Axle adjusters, push drive kits, chain drive kits. We sell lots of chain drive kits.
Everything. There's a ton of things that Zippers makes, and they make stuff from twin cams to Sportsters to your Milwaukee 8 builds. They also have crate motors. Not crate motors, where you guys build a motor. They send them in.
Yeah, we'll do a short block, we'll do a long block, we'll build a complete engine. One thing I want to add about these, I think, you said this really changes the feel of the motorcycle, and that's what we're actually after. It's to me, the dyno is a tool for tuning and comparison, but I always will sacrifice 1 or 2 horsepower at the top if I can create an environment where the torque is better across the board, because the motorcycle will feel faster.
I've learned that.
I've been on a motorcycle, I'll give you a perfect example. I rode a 124 that had a Pro Charger on it. It made 175 or 80 rear wheel horsepower. It was a rocket ship. Sort of.
Yeah, sort of. where it was a rocket ship. Yeah.
when you smack the throttle open at 4,000 RPMs, it was not tractable. It just burned the rear tire off. So to me, I want the power. We generally do mostly naturally aspirated, and it's because we want that punch. We want that early low end torque. Blowers are getting better, so I'm sure there will be people that will disagree. But the thing about a naturally aspirated engine is we want that smack you in the face torque when you hit that throttle.
And that's why most people ride V-twins, because they want that smack in your face torque when you hit that throttle.
And that's really what we're seeking, like we'll play on the dyno, we go back to the computers, figure out what the engine wants, and then we'll make something and go ride it.
Yeah.
And what I think we've really done, because you may not know this, but redshift cams has been around since the early 80s. Okay.
Wow.
Now, beyond that, the originator of redshift cams was Dick Hilferty, and he was a former owner of Sifton Cams in California. Okay. Now, Tom Sifton was who he worked under for many years. Tom Sifton was a Harley dealer in California in the teens, the 20s. He's in the AMA Hall of Fame. So I always say our cam lineage goes back over 100 years at this point, because it was that Sifton era that led into the Hilferty era that led into where we're at today. Right. And it's that continuation of knowledge. He was working on, JDs back in the teens. And here we are today with a lot of his, I think what we still employ is his manners, his mindset. He was always a very quality oriented and, satisfaction based person. Yeah. You want this to be happy. It's not about just making something and selling it. We want this to make the rider happy. And it's those mannerisms that we really work hard on.
Well, we can talk about that just for a second. One of the things I would like to talk about is, like he's talking about the mannerisms. I'm a rider. I'm not shifting at 3,000 RPMs. That ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? My daily riding, I don't care if I'm going to the gas station down the street. I'm not shifting. I'm not changing gears at 3,000 RPMs. I tend to run mine out a little bit further than that. But there's people that will typically, 3,000, 3,500, they're gonna go into the next gear. And you need to know what type of rider you are. And when you find out, if you're honest with yourself, wow, I'm just about to be completely blunt and tell you guys this. Listen, don't just watch a YouTube video on YouTube or listen to your buddy and your buddy says, the ABC cam, this is it, you gotta have this. Well, it might be for him. Because the way he rides, it fits to his riding style. However, now, it might not be the one for you, because you might be a rider who likes to carry it out to 5,000 RPMs. You might be a rider who likes to leave the red light pretty strong or have all your early torque. So you need to know how you ride to make your decision on what cam you buy. And I made it easy for you. You don't have to know what cam to buy. All you have to know is the number to Zipper's Performance and tell them how you ride, and they can suggest what type of cam you should buy. And that is how they can help you. That's why they make several different ones for people that like to ride their motorcycles in different ways. And if you have a big bore kit, the cam still matters. Don't just go get a big bore kit and throw the biggest cam at it and think it's going to be the perfect fit for you, because you might be someone who wants to take it to the track. You might be someone who has a trailer on the back of your motorcycle. You might be someone who rides two up. There are several different cams for different riding scenarios, even with big bore kits. So to make it easy, call Zipper's Performance and they can help you guys out. And so that's
I want to add something funny to that. So last year at the Run to the Hills, right, I have a 114 Street Bob, and I rode it from Maryland down to Knoxville, did the event, rode it back home. I think it was like 1,600 miles or something like that round trip for me. I have a 114 with a 468 in it. Now, because of the motorcycle, I don't have big fairings. I have the wind hitting on me. It's a skinny tire motorcycle too in the back. You would expect me to have lots of higher RPM time. Well, with the Thunder Max, it tells you your ride times. So when I came back from that 1,600 mile trip and I plugged in and I'm looking at my data, I was rolling my eyes and laughing because do you know that I almost never went past 3/4 throttle on the entire trip?
Wow.
I didn't have to.
Yeah.
All the power was down low.
Yeah.
In fact, almost the entire ride was less than half throttle.
Right. And you can, I mean, cruising.
I almost never went into the upper, I just didn't need to because it has gearing and it has torque. I
Right.
could get that thing to 100 miles an hour like that. And I'm shifting at 4,000.
Yeah.
You know, but it's that specific bike. That's just how it likes to ride.
Yeah.
You know?
And so you found the perfect cam. Well, you designed the perfect cam for your riding style. So I understand that. That's what I'm saying, guys. Don't get caught up in all these things. Even though, believe me, people talk about this 468 cam all the time, but the 472 might be the cam for you instead. You know what I mean? So don't just get caught up on these numbers right here. Cams, you can't afford to buy a cam off of the trend. Buy a cam off of your riding style. Now we are.
You're out of time.
Yeah, I'm out of time. So, guys, I tell you what, if you like these videos, I'm going to be hanging around for a little bit longer. So if you like these videos, if you want to know about something, we might even get into some more technical stuff. Have an Ask Adam session. You guys let me know. If you like these videos, give me a thumbs up and comment below, and I can bring Adam back and we'll have an Ask Adam session where we're talking about, I don't know, we'll talk about something. We'll talk about headwork, cylinders, I don't know. We might even talk about how to properly dyno motorcycles and ratio and squish and whatever, all that stuff that you like to talk about. All right, and compression. I really like to talk about compression because I know you know a lot about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, we're going to get off here. It is almost time. You got 3 minutes to go to glidekings.com for Traveling Talls Run to the Hills 5 banquet. And I hope to see you in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're going to have a great time. Adam's going to be there. There will be some zippers perform. You know what? I'm not even going to tell you. If you're coming to the banquet, you'll be happy with some of the things that we're going to be doing there. I think it's going to be an awesome time. And by the way, we touched on it briefly. To protect these hard parts, Redline oil right here. Redline oil is the oil that I use in my motorcycle, and this is what I use because when you got these high performance parts, you definitely need something to protect them. All right, guys, so we're going to end this video here. Hopefully you guys will join us down in Knoxville, Tennessee for Traveling Talls Run to Hills 5. I can't wait to see everybody. And if you'd like to hear more from Adam again, comment below and we'll try to come back and make another video. All right, guys, don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Keep gliding, and as always, have a blessed day.
See you in Tennessee.
All right.